It's late August. I'm back in the Mörrum River for some autumn fishing. It's been a weird season so far. No water, no fish in the spring, and when the fresh salmon finally arrived in late May, they soon started to die in the river, a phenomenon that's been going on for 4 years now, and this year was the worst I've seen so far. It really was a depressing sight, and worst of all, nobody knows for sure what causes the mass death. The most common theory is that the lack of thiamine puts down the immune system, and that makes the salmon eyes more vulnerable to fungus and infections. This, in combination with the historical low water flow, was apparently a heavy blow to the salmon eyes. So, frustration was the most common word in May and June used by fly fishermen when discussing the upcoming situation, not just because the dead and sick fish in the river, but also because the complete lack of interest from the authorities to do something about it. But then, in late July, the river suddenly and totally unexpected transformed as the smaller salmon, the grilse, started to head up the river in great numbers. When I arrived, the condition in the river was actually rather good for a successful salmon and sea trout fishing. The only fly in the ointment was the low water flow, just around 8 cubic meters. So, with this in mind, my tactic was to fish in pools with faster waters and to concentrate my fishing to the white water areas. These areas hold fish most of the time, and the turbulent water makes the fly swim fast and irregularly, and that's just what makes it trigger a salmon to bite. In slower pools it's trickier. You have to give the fly more speed, either by mixing the angle of the fly cast or by varying the speed when taking in the line. But the reward might be greater as the slow, deeper pool tends to hold more big salmon. In the Mörrum River we are talking about salmon up to 20 kilos and even more, and sea trouts over 10 kilos. But they are rare of course, and as I said, it's very difficult to get them to bite, so fishing in slow pools often is a test of endurance, and if you ask me, sometimes it's also a little bit, slow and boring, or should I say, not as fun as fishing in the white water. And to have fun is what fishing is all about. I love when the fish takes the fly. A hard, firm bite that comes from out of nowhere and in milliseconds transforms your mind from being focused on how to get a salmon to bite to how to fight it. But every time a salmon bites, I'm into potential problem, as my wading technique is rather bad due to hip problems. So, if it looks slow and clumsy when I'm trying to get hold on the fish, this is the reason why. I think that being focused is the key to success. If you fish a pool without concentrating on what you're doing, then you will definitely catch fewer fish. You catch a salmon or two over a period, no problem, but not as many as you could have caught. So, if your main goal is to catch as many salmon or sea trout as possible, you gotta stay focused when fishing. Always thinking where to place the fly, always reading the current, trying to figure out the best way to fish the pool. And if you do this over the years, you build up a knowledge base, and that's a real treasure to have, especially when the fishing is bad. Despite the circumstances, you continue to catch fish and having fun, while most others don't get a single bite. This turned out to be an odd catch. At first I thought it was a sea trout, but when I came closer I realized it must be a hybrid. A nice fish, however, with a pale look and spare dots. And it took off like a rocket. Oops. I was a little bit slow there. Maybe I'm getting old, but at least I managed to hook the salmon. But catching a lot of fish is not everyone's main goal. For me, catching fish is equal to having fun, especially in the Mörrum for some reason. But I learned that not everyone shares this view on fishing. At first, I was very confused and frustrated when I came to a pool and found it occupied by 3 or 4 or even more fellow fishermen. Usually there were 2 guys fishing, one queuing up, waiting for his turn, and others were sitting drinking beer. If you choose to fish like that, staying in one pool for several hours, with always 2 or 3 guys fishing simultaneously, you are definitely not maximizing the chances of catching an elusive salmon or sea trout. And fishing like this, you are also blocking the possibilities for other fishermen to catch fish in this particular pool. But, and this is my point, for guys to fish like this, the main priority is not to catch fish. The focus is simply to have a good time at the river. Maybe drink a beer or 2, eat some snack and just hang out with friends. Catching a salmon would only be a great bonus. And, frankly speaking, how could this be wrong? It actually sounds like a healthy way to spend some time by the river. These guys aren't doing anything crazy, they just had another idea how to have fun. So, if you have planned to fish a certain pool and find it occupied, the best thing you can do is to change your plans. It's not worthwhile waiting or to join the queue. It's much better to find another, hopefully unfished part of the river. I know, especially in May and in the quest for the big, fresh and salmon, there are some pools in the southern stretch that are more sought after, and if you badly want to fish one of these pools, you simply have to join the queue and hope for the best when it's finally your turn to wet the fly. This might actually be the best way to maximize your chances of catching the big salmon, but I say it's an exception. Now, in the autumn, there are absolutely no need to join the queue and wait for your turn. Not in the Mörrum River, as there are fish in every pool from the southern pools close to the Baltic Sea and up to Härnäs, which is located over 25 kilometers inland. This is a big sea trout, one of my best catches in the river this year. Fish weighed around 7 kilos, and I was very pleased when I finally got a hold on it. Don't hesitate to try new pools. I say you'll be surprised. And remember that if you never fish a pool, then you never catch anything there. It's as simple as that. But if you give it a chance or 2, you might be rewarded, and by doing this you also build up the knowledge base and develops as fishermen. If I should try to summarize the autumn fishing, I say it was beyond expectation. This might, however, be a little misleading, as the expectations were very low, and some guys actually advocated that there should be no fishing at all due to the low water flow and the fact that the fish population in the river was threatened. But in September it started to rain, and with 3 weeks left of the season the water flow began to increase. This boost made the salmon and sea trout head up the river, and when they started to move they also started to bite. And those guys that were lucky enough to be in place had a tremendous fishing, or more correctly maybe, they had a chance to tremendous fishing, because fishing for salmon and sea trout in the river is never easy. I have fished this pool over and over again without any result at all. It looks perfect, but we have named it the pool where there should be fish but never is. So this was a little bit of a surprise. Total catches of salmon, sea trouts and hybrids in the river 2017 was close to 900, which is a low figure, but not an all-time low. But if you consider that half of the catches was from September, It gives you a picture how difficult it was for those who fished from March to August. Just 450 salmon eyes during a period of 6 months in one of Scandinavia's best salmon and sea trout river is a remarkable bad figure. But September gave us new hope with heavy rain and good catches. In fact, the rain continued through the autumn and winter, and after some years in a row with low water flow, it now looks as there might be a year with higher water. At least that's been the case so far, and everyone is hoping that the higher water flow, close to 100 cubic meters some days, also might give the river a chance to recover, and maybe reduce some of the causes to the fish death. But that might just be a hope, and the near future will give us the answer to the question on everyone's mind. What will happen in May and June 2018 when the big fresher salmon arrives? Well, nobody knows, but time will tell. Let's just hope for the best. The problem with mat death amongst salmon eyes in rivers connected to the Baltic Sea is by no means solved. But now, finally after 4 years, it at least looks as if the Swedish Agency for Marine and Water Management is taking this seriously and have reserved money to investigate the matter. To be aware of a problem is the first small step in the right direction, but if you ask me, there will be no short-time solutions. This is most likely to take long. This is a nice catch in one of my favorite spots, the beach. If there are no one in the pool when I come, I always fish it. But if there's a guy in the water, I just pass by and leave it till next time. A small step for a fly fisherman, but a giant leap towards new catches. Remember to be mobile when fishing for salmon. My personal figures for 2018 was, despite the circumstances, very good. Close to 50 catches, most smaller salmons, but also a couple around 8 to 10 kilos, and a sea trout close to 7 kilos. But I also lost some real nice fish, and that lowers the grade, as I didn't adapt my gears to the conditions. So, I do some changes in 2018. I'm planning to fish the whole year with a 0.4mm monotip with a breaking strain of 20 kilos. I actually used it through the September fishing, and the fish didn't seem to care. They bite anyway. With close to 50 catches under my belt 2017, I must be doing something right. I've been fishing the river for 30 years now, and during those years I built up my knowledge base, and that's partly what I'm now profiting on. But I also continue to search for new hotspots. The river is constantly changing, so you have to be adaptive and keen to try new solutions. And to be focused and adaptive when fishing is the best advice I can give. I think that's the key to success. As I catch a lot of fish, I also get the question which density of the fly line and which fly I'm using. It's hard to give a clear answer, as the fly line choice depends on the combination of water flow and in which pool I'm fishing. But I always use a poly-leather tip, and to reduce the parameters, I fished the last 3 seasons in the river, which has been my best in terms of catches, with only 2 types of flies. DrJohnTheAngler, which is my variant of ullsocken, the fly that's been the best overall fly in the river for decades, and the golden eye, which is my own creation. I simply switch between these flies through the season, knowing that either of them sooner or later will trigger a salmon to bite. The only exception to the rules is when I'm on rare occasion nowadays fishing the dark hours, then I use a black fly called the silver eye shadow. To only use 2 flies might look a little bit pig-headed and inflexible, but you have to remember that salmon and sea trout don't eat in rivers. The only way to get a bite is a trigger reaction, and these flies certainly do the job. And that's all for now. I hope to be back soon with more fly fishing, so don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DrJohnTheAngler. Check it out.